Greetings, people of the interwebs, Jake here, and with Rings of Power Season 2 coming up, I figured I'd record a video on basically my expectations for what I'm basically expecting to see. So, did a trailer, I guess, kind of reaction, breakdown, analysis, whatever you want to call it, of the first trailer that was released, and kind of gave my thoughts about it. I haven't really done any other videos with the last two trailers. But, all that to say, so, I'll say, at least with this last trailer, it's probably the best one. However, I think that's just because the way they cut the trailer, and it's also a lot more action-oriented. And I will also give credit where it's due, based on the trailer. It looks like it's going to be a bit more lore accurate, because it's very much heavily focused on the sack of Eregion, when Sauron wages war against the elves to reclaim the Rings of Power. That being said, even though, again, there does seem to be a little bit more lore accuracy here in the second season, based on the three trailers that they've released, which would normally give me a bit of, hope that, hey, maybe they learned the lessons from the first season and how it was not lore accurate at all. I kind of feel like they didn't learn those lessons. They learned all the wrong lessons. And they're just going to double down on being this ridiculous fanfic that it is. And a lot of the reasons being is because, one, with Season 1, the foundation for this proposed 5-season series, where they'd already unnecessarily changed so much, that even if they did want to go try to be more lore accurate, it's more difficult for them to do that because of how much that was changed in that first season. Now, not to say that you can't do that, but I don't trust the writers and showrunners of Rings of Power to do that. But also, another reason why I don't think that it's going to be super lore accurate is because... Ooh, there's so much. So I guess one thing, and I mentioned this in the first trailer that they released with Tom Bombadil. So, Tom Bombadil's in Rhûn. Why? Tom Bombadil's... he only stayed in the Old Forest. That was his domain. And also it looks like he's going to be this kind of like advisory character to the Stranger, which we all know is Gandalf. Which, that's another lore issue, because Gandalf and the other wizards didn't arrive until the Second Age. Or, sorry, they didn't arrive until the Third Age, and this is set in the Second Age. Now, depending on which version of Tolkien's lore you want to go with, the two blue wizards, they did arrive at the Second Age. And so that would be my preference if you're going to do any wizards, is show the two blue wizards, because they're the wizards we haven't seen anything of. And even in the Silmarillion and Tolkien's work, there's not a lot of detail on them. So that would have given the writers a lot of creative freedom to shape these characters to however they want. Instead of taking these pre-established characters, like Gandalf, and be like, hey, let's put them in the Second Age, and let's have them arrive by meteor. Even though that's dumb and doesn't make any sense, and also Tolkien did write that the wizards arrived by boat from Valinor, and, arrived in the Grey Havens. Not meteors. Why send a meteor? The whole point of the wizards were to be discreet, and sending a meteor... not very discreet, but digressing. So again, that's another reason why not a lot of faith in this, is because now there's a whole Gandalf storyline of him going east, which he never did, especially in the Second Age, because again, Gandalf wasn't in Middle-earth during the Second Age. But also, again, back to Tom Bombadil. So Tom Bombadil, again, he pretty much resided in the Old Forest, just a little outside of the Shire, kind of in between the Shire and Bree. And... again, in the trailers, he seems like this kind of advisory character for Gandalf, when, again, that's not really Tom Bombadil. He stayed out of the affairs of Middle-earth. He just kept to his domain, and didn't really care what happened with the rest of the world. Whereas it seems like in this show, again, one, why he's in Rhûn, I don't know. Other than them just not caring about the lore, and trying to make him like this influential character, which, again, he is not. And also, it looked like, I think it's the most recent one, I don't think it was featured in the previous ones, but it definitely looks like Ciarán Hinds is playing Saruman, who I'm assuming Gandalf is going to meet in Rhûn, which, to be fair, Saruman did actually go east with the two blue wizards. Third Age, not Second Age. But anyways, it definitely looks like he's playing Saruman. Now, good casting, but again, why are you having all the wizards in the Second Age when they did not show up in the Second Age? They showed up in the Third Age. Oh, so again, they're just doubling down on this fanfic and just having all these events and characters show up thousands of years before they should, and also, again, the thing that bothered me with season, well, one of many things that bothered me with season 1, but one of the bigger of many big problems is, so in the actual lore, the 3 Elvish Rings of Power, they were the last ones to be forged, and they were forged in secret after Celebrimbor got the knowledge from Sauron, or before they knew he was Sauron, as Annatar. But for whatever reason, they decided to, in the show, to have the 3 Elvish Rings forged first. I don't know why they decided to go out of order, but that just makes the elves look really dumb in this season, to where, especially Celebrimbor, where it's the same actor playing Annatar and, Halbrand. So, but for whatever reason, they can't recognize him just because he's got pointy ears like an elf and he has a wig. So, that also makes the elves look really dumb. They're supposed to be like the wisest people on Middle-earth, but I guess, just pop a wig on somebody and no one will know who they are. They'll just think they're a completely different person and not be suspicious whatsoever. However, I will note that in the most recent trailer, and actually most of the trailers, I feel like they're kind of hiding Galadriel a little bit, and especially the Harfoots, which, thank God for that, because the Harfoots were awful. Terrible. That storyline, you could have cut that out entirely and nothing would have changed the show at all. Other than maybe you could have devoted that time you dedicated to the Harfoots in that subplot. It was really only there to I don't know, I guess, make people think that the Stranger was Sauron, but if you didn't see Halbrand being Sauron from the get-go, to me that was pretty obvious. So that, again, that whole subplot added absolutely nothing to the show other than padding the runtime. But you could have taken that time to cut that storyline and maybe actually develop the characters. Or, again, be lore accurate, but whatever. So I do, maybe they did learn a little bit. However, from what I recall, they had already started writing the script for Season 2 before, Season 1 even finished. So I don't know how much time or if they even bothered to alter the script for Season 2 at all. I would really hope so, especially during the writer's strike, where even if they weren't physically able to write the scripts, they were at least hopefully jotting down notes of, hey, this didn't work for Season 1, let's alter this as we're filming, pick up filming for Season 2. Again, I would hope, but I have my doubts. And then also they're introducing one of the other Hobbit offshoots. Actually, I shouldn't say offshoots, because actually there's 3 different kinds of Hobbits. So there's the Harfoots, there's the Stores, and then there's the Falahides. And they really didn't become collectively known as Hobbits until they all migrated west across the Misty Mountains into what is now known as the Shire. But all that to say, they're introducing another one of the groups. I don't know if it's the Falahides or the Stores, but I'm assuming they're going to be in Rhûn, which, again, is not accurate. Could be wrong. Maybe the other Hobbits are in a different part of Middle-earth. But if they are in Rhûn, which I'm assuming they will be, that's just incorrect. Because the Hobbits, and even the predecessors to the Hobbits, they originate in the Vales of the Anduin, so basically in between Mirkwood and the Misty Mountains. And they really only migrated west. To my recollection, now I could be wrong, they might have moved a little bit eastward, but they pretty much always stayed either in the Vales of the Anduin or, went west across the Misty Mountains into Eriador. I don't think they ever went, or at least that far east into Rhûn, because there also really wasn't a need to, because Rhûn was always a pretty kind of dangerous land, and the Hobbits never really... That's the whole reason why they moved out of the Vales of Anduin, because that's when Mirkwood started to become corrupted by Sauron, when he was known as the Necromancer, and so they got out of there. So, again, I don't know, I feel like the writers or showrunners are kind of like, see, we're adding Tom Bombadil, we're adding the different kinds of hobbits, see, we paid attention to the books. No, you didn't. You clearly did not pay attention to the books, or you did and just didn't give a shit and are giving us this stupid fanfic. And they're trying to gaslight the fans and say that we're wrong, but no. So yeah, I would like to love this season and this show going forward because I love all things Tolkien and Middle Earth. But unfortunately, I don't think we're gonna get that. I'm pretty confident, again, based off these trailers, that we're just gonna get the same, just sloppily cobbled together nonsense we got in that first season. Sure, maybe season 2 is a little bit more lore accurate, but I feel like they're just kind of... There's only so much polishing a turd you can do. It's like, yeah, okay, you smoothed it out and it looks nice, but it's still a turd. It still stinks and doesn't really have any value. So that's kind of where I see the second season going, is a lot more of the same, just maybe more action, and maybe a little bit better pacing, because that was another one of the, again, many problems of Season 1, is the pace. It somehow simultaneously felt slow and yet rushed at the same time, which is kind of like the worst thing you can do. Because one thing if your movie or show felt rushed, or if it's one thing if it was a slow burn, which I don't mind a slow burn, but this show just did not know what the pace was or anything, let alone a lot of other things. So yeah, I have very little faith that Season 2 will be good. Again, gotta stress that I want it to be good. I would love, again, I want nothing more than to love all things Tolkien. But I don't think we're going to get that. I think, again, it's just going to be a lot of the same stuff. Just, again, maybe better pace, maybe a little bit more lore accurate, and I'll be a little optimistic. Maybe they even improve the writing a little bit, because that was another glaring problem with Season 1, is god-awful writing. But anywho, that wraps up this video of my thoughts and expectations, which I'm sure, is no surprise to anyone, and I'm sure most people are kind of in the same boat, is having very little expectations to any at all, or at least good expectations, I'd say, for Season 2. And are probably just either going to hate watch this show, like I imagine a lot of people are, or if you even bothered to finish Season 1, which apparently not a lot of people did. So I'm actually very curious to see how Season 2 does with, like, viewership and, audience scores and stuff like that. Because, again, Season 1, I think it was domestically only, like, 37% of people bothered to finish it who started it. It's a little bit better international. I think it was, like, 43%, somewhere around there. So, again, not even half the people who started this show across the world bothered to finish it. Which, if this was a smaller budget, like, say, rom-com, those would probably be okay numbers, but considering this is the most expensive show ever, and just the IP, with it, Tolkien, Lord of the Rings, you would think that a lot more people would have watched this show. But again, as it turns out, no surprise, if you make a shitty show, not a lot of people care or want to invest their time in it. And so, yeah, I'm curious to see if those same people who were turned off by Season 1 bother to finish Season 1 to watch the second season, or if they just checked out completely, which, if that's the case, totally fair, and I don't blame them. And I'm kind of envious, but I'm still desperately, probably very foolishly, hoping that this show will be good, so that way I can watch it and actually enjoy it. But I feel like I'm just I'm kind of putting myself through just garbage for the season. But anywho, let's finally wrap this up and quit rambling. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. Let me know your thoughts. Are you looking forward to Season 2? What do you think of Season 1? Are you even going to bother watching Season 2? Because if you don't, again, can't blame you. I'm envious. But until next time, everyone, cheers.